Native American traditional knowledge features many mythical creatures and supernatural entities that are understood to be beneficial to humanity, but equally as dangerous threats that they pose that humans must avoid. Although these creatures are terrifying, they often serve cultural significance in warning people of danger or encouraging them to appreciate the power of the spirit world. Most indigenous peoples in North America recognized several deities and spiritual entities that were either beneficial or detrimental to social support in their lives. A character like a coyote, for example, may bring good or harm depending on his mood. Iktomi, known as the trickster spider god of Plains Indian culture, served the same purpose as the trickster figures of other Native American peoples. The Great Mystery or Great Spirit, known by many names, was understood to be in control of the processes of the universe and human life. But in response, why do bad things happen to good people? Several uninteresting entities have been identified as exerting significant influence. Among these are Ogopogo is a lake monster that first appeared in the stories of the Sikupimch, First Nations people residing in the interior of the Canadian province of British Columbia, Shuswap, and the Seleks, Okanagan, the indigenous people of Canada in present-day British Columbia. The creature is said to live in Okanagan Lake and is described as a large snake with the head of a dragon. The Sikubimek and Silex called the monster Nikata, water spirit, or water demon, while the origin of the name, Ogopogo, is disputed. Ogopogo is said to demand tribute from anyone willing to cross Okanagan Lake, and if nothing is offered, the person or people drown in a sudden storm instigated by this creature. In the past, Native Americans would bring small animals to sacrifice to the lake before crossing, and there are many legends regarding the bad fate of those who refused to believe Ogopogo and ended up drowning or narrowly escaping death. Like many other Native American creatures, the Ogopogo served to remind people of the power of nature and how to respect it. Sightings of Ogopogo are still being reported nowadays, as recently as 2018, with descriptions of the giant water serpent matching those of ancient legends. A skin shifter is a shape-shifting Navajo witch who only exists to cause harm to others. It is understood that skin shifters were once Shanana, people with great spiritual power who chose to use their gifts for evil rather than good. The simplest definition of a skin shifter based on non-original popular culture would be someone who embraces the dark side of the Force in the Star Wars franchise. The skin shapeshifter can impersonate any animal or human they choose, and they may possess a person in the same way that an evil spirit, ghost, or devil was thought to do. The Navajo name for this entity translates as by means of which it continues on all fours, due to its tendency to take the form of an animal. Whatever form she chooses, her intentions are never good, and since a skin shifter is difficult to detect, it is understood that they are among the most dangerous supernatural creatures according to Native American culture. The Wendigo is a voracious beast of the culture of Canada's First Nations and Plains Indians, who is represented under other names in the stories of many Native American nations across North America. According to the Chippewa tribe, one of the large Indian tribes in North America, the Wendigo was once a man who could never be satisfied and was characterized by selfishness and excessive greed. It was believed that these people eventually became the consuming monster, carelessly preying on people. Is being photographed. The creature is a scrawny animal with large horns that is never satisfied, no matter how much it eats, and is thus doomed to wander around, constantly trying and failing to satisfy its need for comfort. The story of the Chippewa origin of the beast is echoed by other nations and serves to reinforce the concept generally held by Native Americans that the needs of the community come before the needs of the individual. The Wendigo, as a selfish, predatory monster, stands as the antithesis of this central value. The flying head, or flying heads, is similar to the Wendigo in that it is also a voracious beast that feeds on human flesh. This creature descended from the legends of the Iroquois people, which tell about an unknown tribe that lived in the region of the United States of America, now known as New York, around the Hudson River, and whose struggle over an issue led to the birth of the monster. According to the most common version of the story, the area was hit by a famine that drove prey and even fish to other areas and suggested younger citizens in the community follow suit. However, the elders refused and insisted on staying on their ancestral lands until the situation improves. The younger men, tired of arguing, and killed the older ones, cut off their heads and threw them into a lake in bundles, but one of these young warriors got tangled in the ropes binding the heads and drowned. His life energy, along with the severed heads, has been described to become the flying head, or, as it is called in some versions, flying heads, which is usually described as a giant head, sometimes with bat or bird wings on either side and fangs. They pounce, kidnap people, and devour them. Like the Wendigo, the myth of the flying head upholds a central cultural value, in this case respect for elders, and of course the prohibition against killing a tribe member for selfish reasons or any reason outside of forms of self-defense. Two-Face is a creature with a normal-looking face where it should be, and a hideous second face behind its head. If a person saw a two-faced face, he would either die instantly or stand there frozen in fear, and then the monster would kill him using very sharp claws protruding from his elbows. This monster should not be confused with the two-faced entity known as the Anbao of the Sioux people, which is a two-faced spirit that represents the dawning. Two-Face appears in legends of Cheyenne, Omaha, and Sioux, among others, and is best known from the legend of the hero twins, in which a pregnant woman is killed by Two-Face, taking one fetus with him and leaving the other. When the twins grow up, they find each other, some avenge their mother, and become famous monster killers. Two-Face is sometimes presented as a single entity, but more often as a race of ghoul-like beings that periodically visit people to kill them. The only way to avoid this fate is to never look directly at a stranger coming into the house, or to avoid looking at them altogether, and to never trust that the face one sees is the only face the stranger has. The serpent, the horned serpent, and the water serpent figure are common in the indigenous myths and cultures of the Native American peoples of North America, whether it is the Ogopogo, flat-headed monster, the crystalline Uktana of the Cherokees, or the great horned serpent of the Sioux peoples and other Plains Indians. The Serpent Mound archaeological site in Peebles, Ohio, USA, attributed to the Native American cultures of Adena, or the ancient fortress, may be in honor of their own version of the horned serpent, which always had magical properties, and often, though not always, symbolized transformation. Snakes often act as enemies in tales of Native American peoples and inhabitants, but they are not always evil because they sometimes appear as challenges that the hero must face to achieve a certain destination. However, the great horned serpent always appears as an opponent to the Thunderbird. As the Thunderbird represents order, light, birth, growth, and life, the great horned serpent symbolizes chaos, darkness, and death. Kachitoashko is a giant, hard-legged, hairless, man-eating bear whose legend comes from the Penobscot peoples of what is now Maine, USA. The beast is described as being extremely large with straight hind legs that cannot bend. He crashes through the woods walking upright, and because he can never lie down, because he cannot bend his knees to get up again, he sleeps leaning against the trees. Because it is so large, it is often confused with a giant tree and ignored until it swoops down with a giant claw and grabs its unsuspecting prey for a meal. His name literally means hard-knuckle bear, but scholars do not agree on the origin of the creature or why Penobscot peoples would imagine such an entity. According to some theories, the Kachitoashko was suggested to the Penobscot people when they discovered a fossil of a woolly mammoth or mastodon, an elephant-like animal but with furry skin, which had straight legs and a bear-like skull. When first created, this myth served as a reminder to be alert of one's surroundings and potential dangers. Children were also told his stories to scare them into staying close to home and not venturing out into the woods alone. The Bakwa, also given as Bakuas, is a ghost who tempts people lost in the forest to eat the cursed food he offers them in cockle shells, and if they accept, they become ghosts themselves. Ghosts are generally depicted in Native American traditions as dangerous entities capable of causing physical, spiritual, or psychological harm to the living. But the Pakwa were considered the king of ghosts in that, while the spirit of a person who once lived might be kind if an agreement could be reached, the living showed appropriate respect. But the Bakwa had intentions just bad. His legend originated with the first peoples of contemporary British Columbia, but his legend is similar to the entities of other peoples to the north, such as the Haida people. He is depicted as the skeleton of a tall man with long hair in vulgar clothes, whose poor condition encourages the victims to pity him, making them vulnerable to his alleged kindness when he offers them food. It is sometimes associated with the ghosts of those who have drowned and inhabits forests near water, so children are frightened of any unsupervised visits to the coast. The Tihihan are the little people of the Arapaho peoples, a race of incredibly small, child-sized, powerful, mischievous, cannibalistic creatures possessing superhuman speed. Although Tihihan's name is Arapaho, the little people appear in the legends of many Plains Indians under other names. They are generally depicted as being between 2 and 4 feet in height, with thick necks, large eyes, sharp teeth, and dark skin. They feed on humans, always killing more than they need, and eating until they are satisfied, leaving what is left to rot. According to some stories, they are capable of, they make themselves invisible, while in other stories they can fly, and in other stories they seem to do neither just because of their incredible speed. Although legends usually refer to a long-running conflict in which the Tihihan were eliminated by an Arapaho-led coalition, there is a belief that the little people still exist today and are responsible for unsolved murders, animal deaths, and the disappearance of valuable objects. The giant, hard-to-find monster known as Bigfoot has its origins in Native American lore. The creature is always described as being between 6 and 10 feet long and covered in hair. The Sioux peoples know the entity as Sheshi Tanka. Sheshi means big brother, Tanka means big. But the same character appears in the stories of other Plains Indian nations as well as First Nations in modern Canada and other parts of the east coast of the modern USA. According to some myths, the creatures do not have a spoken language, but communicate with each other by grunts and whistles and are generally harmless unless threatened. They live deep in the forest and forage for plants as food at night and are afraid of humans. However, other legends claim that the creatures like to mate with human females and may kidnap them as well as young children who are then raised in the forest and never seen again. They may attack, kill, and eat people or play tricks in a village to encourage people to wage war on a neighboring community. Although the Bigfoot legends popular in today's media only date back to the early 1900s, Native American stories relating to the same entity are likely thousands of years old and were certainly told before the first Europeans came to North America.